Okay, picture this. Manila. Every year, same story. Those vibrant streets, suddenly they just transform into this waterlogged nightmare.
Yeah, it's dramatic. Streets become rivers, homes get swamped. You see the pictures.
Exactly. And the question everyone asks every single time, is it just the faulty infrastructure? Is that the reason?
Mm.
Or is it, more complicated than that?
Well, it's definitely challenging, hugely challenging for
Mm.
a city that size, 15 million people. What we want to do in this deep dive is sort of cut through that noise.
Right.
We've got articles, research, personal stories. We'll pull out the key bits to give you, the listener, a shortcut to really getting informed on this.
That's the mission. Unravel all these factors that are literally drowning Manila. We'll look at the impacts, the real human cost, and then, crucially, the solutions. What could actually work?
Let's get into it.
So first off, this flooding in Manila, it's not new as it goes way back.
Not at all. Deep historical roots. It's actually quite striking. There's this study by Bancroft from 2003 talking about knee-deep floods back in the 19th century.
Wow, 19th century. So Manila's been battling water for a long, long time.
A very long time. But the scale now, it's just massively different. This huge metropolis, 15 million people, the annual floods paralyze everything. Traffic, homes, the economy.
And the economic cost is staggering, right?
It really is.
Yeah.
JIA, that's the Japan International Cooperation Agency, they estimated something like P2.4 billion Philippine pesos lost daily just from flood-related traffic jams.
2.4 billion a day. That just puts it in perspective, doesn't it?
It's immense.
And we've seen some absolute catastrophes. I mean, Ondoy, Tropical Storm Ondoy in 2009, that was just horrific.
Oh, yeah. Ondoy was a wake-up call for many.
A month's rain in 12 hours.
Yeah.
Killed over 240 people. And what, 80% of the city underwater?
80%. It just showed how vulnerable the city really was. And it keeps happening. Carding in 24. Gamey just this year. The pattern continues.
And behind those numbers, there are real people.
Wow.
Like Merhel de Torralba, you mentioned her story, spending hours on a rooftop just to stay safe.
Exactly. It's those human stories that really hit home. So with this long history and these modern impacts, the question remains, is it the infrastructure? Or are other forces just as powerful, maybe more so?
Well, let's talk about one of those forces, urbanization. Because Manila's growth has been explosive.
Absolutely. From around 4 million people in the 70s to 15 million now. That's massive growth.
And all that growth means concrete, asphalt,
Yeah.
replacing the green spaces that used to soak up the rain. There was a study, wasn't there?
Yeah, Science Direct in 2020 found that this urbanization increased the runoff, the water flowing over the surface, by up to 50%.
50% more water with nowhere to go.
Pretty much. And then you have the informal settlements. About 20% of the population lives in them, often right along waterways, the estuaries.
And they can block things up.
Yeah, inadvertently. Waste gets into the streams, obstructs the flow. You hear from people like Veronica Castillo in Marikina, a really flood-prone area. She talks about floods reaching the second-floor ceilings every year.
Second floor ceilings. That's just devastating.
And it's not just building on the land, it's what's happening under it, too. All these people need water, so there's massive groundwater extraction.
Ah, so pulling water out of the ground.
Exactly. And it's causing the land itself to sink, land subsidence, about 10 centimeters a year in some areas.
Wait, 10 centimeters? That's huge. The city is literally sinking.
Parts of it, yeah. Effectively sinking below sea level. So you've got more water running off the surface, and the ground itself is getting lower.
A double whammy.
Right. Look at places like Malabon. Low-lying. Residents like Elena Koo. She has raised bathrooms, makeshift bridges inside her own home because it's constantly inundated, year-round.
Just incredible. So urbanization makes the flooding worse and sinks the city.
It really amplifies the whole problem.
Okay, so then layer on top of that,
Mm-hmm.
climate change, which seems to be like pouring gasoline on the fire here.
That's a good way to put it. It's supercharging the floods. The Philippines is already ranked, I think, the most disaster-prone country.
Yeah. Institute for Economics and Peace 2019 gets hit by, what, 20 typhoons a year?
20 plus. And they're getting stronger, more intense, because the sea temperatures are rising.
So the storms themselves pack a bigger punch.
Exactly. And the ITCC, the big International Climate Change Panel, their 2019 report specifically warned about this. More coastal flooding, more extreme rain for this region.
And the sea level rise.
Right.
That's faster in Manila, too, right?
Much faster. About 13.24 millimeters a year. That's 3 times the global average, so the baseline is rising and the storms are getting worse.
So what does that mean for the future? The projections must be pretty scary.
They are sobering. By 2030, that's just a few years away. Maybe 1.5 million residents facing coastal flooding. The potential economic hit, around $39 billion in GDP at risk.
39 billion. Wow.
And these climate-driven rains just overwhelm everything. There was an Al Jazeera report this year. The Pasig River, a major river, can handle maybe 600 cubic meters per second.
Okay.
Heavy rains can bring 4,600.
Whoa. 600 versus 4,600. No wonder it floods.
Right. Flooding 90,000 hectares. People like Joshua Alvarez, who fled 3-meter deep floods back in 2013, they live with that fear constantly. The system is just outmatched.
Okay, so we have urbanization, climate change,
Sure.
massive factors.
Yeah.
But let's get back to that core question. The infrastructure itself, how much blame does it deserve?
A significant amount, definitely. A lot of Manila's drainage was built back in the 70s.
Right, for a city of 4 million, not 15 million, and presumably less intense rain back then, too.
Exactly. That 2018 Prevention Web report said over 60 pumping stations are just outdated. They can't even handle normal rain properly, let alone these super typhoons.
And it's not just about capacity, is it? It's about blockages, too.
Oh, absolutely. Solid waste is a huge problem. Trash clogging the drains, crippling the pumps. We saw that clearly during carding.
And people see it daily, right? That Taylor and Francis study.
Yeah, 2023. Residents in Malat reporting weekly flooding, not necessarily from huge storms, but just because the drains are poorly maintained, clogged up.
Which brings us to Felino Palafox, the urban planner. He's been working on this since the 70s. He calls the lack of infrastructure the core issue.
He does, and he points to specific big projects that were planned decades ago but never built, like a spillway from Laguna Lake.
What would that have done?
It would basically give the floodwaters trapped in the lake an escape route, prevent them from backing up into the city, but never built.
Decades of plans just sitting there.
It's frustrating to think about, and you see other examples. The Mangahan floodway, it's meant to divert water to Laguna Lake, but it needs a partner spillway out to Manila Bay to work properly. It doesn't have it, so water backs up.
So it's half a solution.
Effectively. And then you get projects like the Molino River Drive actually collapsing in heavy rain. So it's design, it's maintenance, it's systemic failure over time.
It's easy to talk about systems and billions, but the human cost,
Yeah.
that's what's really devastating. We mentioned Lisa in Marikina earlier.
Yeah, an informal settler. During carding, lost everything. Furniture, kids' school books, all ruined by muddy floodwater. Had to evacuate.
It's just heartbreaking. And Elena Koo in Malabon, scooping seawater out of her house every single day.
Every day. Because she can't afford to raise her house foundation. And her stories like hers, they resonate. There was an X post about this kind of situation in 2025. Got 10,000 shares. People see the desperation.
It's constant hardship. And the wider economy. We mentioned the traffic losses, but a Philstar report estimated flooding disrupts, what, 35% of Metro Manila's entire economic output?
35%. It's crippling for the whole region.
And then the health risks. That's something we can't ignore.
Absolutely critical. The WHO, World Health Organization, reported in 2024. You see spikes in diseases like cholera, leptospirosis, especially in the flooded slum.
It's a public health crisis on top of everything else. Merhelda Torralba, again, tying her house to trees. The resilience is incredible, but the desperation.
It speaks volumes about the reality on the ground.
Okay, so the picture is complex, pretty grim. What about solutions? Is there a way out of this? It sounds like it needs a bit of everything.
It definitely needs a multi-pronged approach. Infrastructure upgrades, yes, but also smarter urban planning, climate adaptation. It all has to work together.
So what's actually happening on the infrastructure front? Any big projects?
There are. The big one is the Metro Manila Flood Management Project. It's about $500 million, funded by the World Bank and the AIIB back in 2017.
Okay, what's the goal there?
Upgrading 36 old pumping stations, building 20 new ones, focusing on modern tech like electric pumps, and crucially, trash racks to stop the garbage clogging them up.
Makes sense. But it can't just be about the big shiny pumps, right? What about the smaller scale? Community level?
Absolutely vital. Clearing the waterways needs community buy-in. Representative Atade was urging community-led declogging efforts this year. That, plus better citywide waste management, is key.
And thinking greener. More parks, maybe different building materials.
Yes, green infrastructure. Things like urban parks. Orosurus Forest Park is a good example. They help soak up water. Permeable pavements, green roofs. Ideas proposed by architects like Leandro Poco, letting the water sink in rather than just run off.
What about storing the water? holding it back during storms.
That's part of the plan, too. There's proposed Marikina multipurpose dam plus retention basins that could hold like 12 million cubic meters of water.
Huge capacity.
And Palafox's idea, that tunnel from Laguna Lake to Manila Bay, that's essentially a massive drainage and storage concept, too.
Now, you mentioned informal settlers earlier. Relocation. That sounds really difficult, but maybe necessary.
It's incredibly sensitive, but yes. Part of the flood management project involves relocating about 1.7 million people living near waterways. It's about reducing risk for them and preventing clogged drains. Contentious, but seen as necessary by planners.
And finally, adapting to the climate change we know is happening.
Can't ignore that. So, better early warning systems, getting climate information out to communities faster, more locally, like Greenpeace suggested, and things like reforestation in the upstream river basins, like the Marikina Basin, to help slow down runoff at the source.
So lots of potential solutions. Pumps, parks, planning, relocation, warnings.
A whole toolkit. But the key is coordination. Government at all levels, local barangays, residents, everyone has to be involved. And the funding, well, it's there on paper, $779 billion for flood control in 2025.
But there's always a but, isn't there?
Yeah. That Al Jazeera report again mentioned delays, corruption, hindering the effective use of that money.
Which leads us straight into the challenges. Why isn't this fixed yet? The biggest hurdle seems to be just getting things done.
The pace is incredibly slow. The DPWH chief, Manuel Bonoin, admitted that by this year, 2025, only one of 9 major flagship flood projects was actually finished. Some have been stalled since 2018.
1 out of 9. That's not great.
It's not great at all. And analyst Zaiza Suzara pointed out the budget issue. Funds susceptible to corruption, not enough external oversight. So money gets wasted.
And the politics of it all. Short election cycles.
Exactly. It disrupts long-term planning. Big infrastructure takes years, decades even. Politicians might focus on shorter-term wins. That's why Palafox said the best time to act was the 1970s.
Oof. That quote really hits hard. Decades lost.
And then there's the human side of the challenges again, community resistance to relocation. People's livelihoods are often tied to where they live, even if it's dangerous. You can't just move people without a really comprehensive, supportive plan.
So wrapping this all up, our deep dive shows Manila's flooding isn't just one thing. It's this tangled mess, isn't it?
Absolutely. Faulty infrastructure is definitely a huge part of it. Aging drains, clogged systems, those big projects that never got built. Major culprits.
But it's amplified. Massively amplified by the sheer speed of urbanization, all that concrete, and then climate change making the storms stronger and the sea higher.
Exactly. The infrastructure is struggling and the pressures on it are increasing relentlessly from both urbanization and climate change.
So while fixing the pipes and pumps is critical, it's not enough on its own.
Not even close. You need that holistic approach. Tackling the waste, rethinking urban planning, adapting to climate change, managing the water sources, all of it together. That seems to be the only way to really save Manila from drowning.
It makes you think. We've talked about plans from the 70s, the huge human cost, the money issues, the slow progress. Maybe the real deep dive, not just for Manila, but for cities everywhere facing this, is why it's so hard to get the sustained political will, the societal coordination, to actually make these massive long-term changes happen.
That's a really powerful question to leave people with.
If you found this deep dive into Manila's flooding crisis as eye-opening and informative as we did, you'll really love what you can discover over at Mind Expansion Daily.
Yeah, it's a great resource.
It really is. Fantastic for getting well-informed on all sorts of fascinating topics, just like this one.
Definitely check it out.
And hey, while you're thinking about it, please do us a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to Mind Expansion Daily right here, join our community. Your support genuinely helps us bring more deep dives like this straight to you.
We really appreciate it.
We do. And we'd love to hear what you think. This is complex stuff. Do you agree with our summary? Disagree? Think we missed something about the causes or solutions for Manila's floods? Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah, share your take. We're keen to hear different perspectives.
And one more thing, while you're typing that comment, tell us where in the world you're tuning in from. It's always amazing to see how far these deep dives reach.
Yeah. Hello, world.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and stay well informed.